America. The Democratic Communist Party, aka CCP, which is the Chinese Communist Party, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer, and the World Health Organization are responsible for the spread of COVID 19 due to greed and political favor. Again, COVID 19 and the Democratic politicians are at fault. Instead, the Democratic Party put impeaching President Trump over the health of the American people.
On March 27th, LA County ordered all beaches closed.
CDC is announcing the first instance of person-to-person spread of the new coronavirus in the United States.
Is it a natural disaster, or is someone responsible for it? When did the Chinese leadership know the virus could spread between people? Are they trying to hide
希望
anything?
大家帮帮我们。
And what did the communist leadership do when the virus was spreading to the
It
world?
impacts us all.
How did they let that happen?
My name is Simone Gao. I was born and raised in China. Now my home is here in America, where I'm a journalist. We have to get to the bottom of this because millions of families deserve to know the truth. We need to have a clear view of what really happened. This way, future generations can be free of this disease, both physically and spiritually. The virus started from this city, Wuhan.
武汉发现不明原因肺炎的已经并非调查，传播途径被完全。
China had spent $4.2 million on this system after the 2003 SARS outbreak. In theory, top medical authorities could know about new diseases anywhere in the country within 2 to 24 hours of discovery. But there's more. The Chinese military knew about the outbreak even before the Chinese CDC issued the prevention measures. This can be seen in this internal documents from the Naval Engineering University. The January 2nd document ordered the university's security department to monitor visitors who were suspected of being infected with an unknown pneumonia originating from Wuhan. It further states that this order is to follow a Naval Engineering Department instruction, Series number 298, issued in 2019.
The earliest and most accurate intelligence came from the Chinese military. The Naval Engineering University producing documents like these implicates the Chinese military. They very likely knew about the outbreak and transmissibility in December 2019 or even earlier.
All these instructions were marked internal. Some specifically say not to be spread on the internet and not to be publicly disclosed. And so it stayed that way. The CCP kept the 1.4 billion people of China unaware of the danger of this virus for at least 20 days, and the timing couldn't have been worse. January 7th, Xi Jinping ordered the information of the outbreak must not damage the atmosphere of a peaceful and happy holiday. And what holiday atmosphere was that? Right at that time, less than 2 weeks from the Chinese New Year, hundreds of millions of Chinese people had started heading home for the largest holiday in China. Trains, buses, and flights were packed. After all, it is the largest human migration on the planet. While 5 million people were leaving the city for destinations around the world. As 2020 approached, the United States found itself in a tense and rare time. For just the third time in American history, a sitting president had been impeached.
Article 1 is adopted. The yeas are 229, the nays are 198, present is 1. Article 2 is adopted.
Ladies and gentlemen, this order is against what we believe in America. The order will make us unsafe. Ladies and gentlemen, this order is against what we believe in America. The order will make us unsafe. We will not let this evil order extinguish that great torch. We will not let this evil order make us less American. We will fight it with everything we have, and we will win this fight.
The media focus was entirely on the impending Senate decision and if Trump would be removed from office. Anything beyond the United States borders seemed trivial. And that's right when the news of an unknown virus spreading in a far-off land quietly arrived at the U.S. CDC headquarters in Atlanta. According to an April 4th Washington Post report, the CDC learned a cluster of cases in China on December 31st, but this information was not provided by the Chinese authorities. In fact, it wasn't until January 3rd when CDC Director Robert Redfield received a call from a counterpart in China. The Chinese CDC told Redfield that a mysterious illness had been spreading inside Wuhan. We inquired about the details of that phone call to the CDC, particularly when the Chinese CDC told the US that the virus could spread between people. The CDC did not respond. The rest of the world began to know something was going on inside Wuhan by mid-January. But the world wasn't told the severity. On January 14th, the WHO began echoing the Chinese government's stance of no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission.
It's very clear right now that we have no sustained human-to-human transmission.
It also recommended no travel bans. The WHO maintained its position about the unverified or limited nature of human-to-human transmission until January 23rd, 3 days after China publicly confirmed such transmission. Meanwhile, in the United States, on January 18th, President Trump was finally substantially briefed by health officials about the coronavirus. He had been receiving intelligence briefings before that, tracking the spread of the virus in China and later in other countries. According to the Post, the briefings did not predict when the virus might land on U.S. shores. It also did not recommend particular steps that public health officials should take. It did, however, warn that Chinese officials appear to be minimizing the severity of the outbreak. 1 week after that briefing, President Trump placed a travel ban on China. His ban was one of the first in the Western Hemisphere.
Lives are at stake. This is not a time for
Political opponents criticized him for overreacting and being racist for banning Chinese travelers. Only history has proven that this move was neither excessive nor early enough, after all. According to VeriFlight, an aviation data company based in China, by mid-January, about 4,000 people had already entered the United States directly from Wuhan. In January alone, about 381,000 travelers flew directly from China to the United States. On February 3rd, the WHO once again parroted China at the opening of the agency's executive board meeting. Director General Tedros supported China's assertion that all was well for international travel.
There is no reason for measures that unnecessarily interfere with international travel and trade. We call on all countries to implement decisions that are evidence-based and consistent. WHO stands.
Why did the CCP conceal the truth about human transmission, then allow Chinese people to travel abroad? Did they want to spread the virus to the entire world?
The
CCP always takes its political power as the most important thing. It also takes economic operations as extremely important, since economic operations guarantees social stability inside China, and thus guarantees its political power. So, in this process, the CCP let international flights continue their travel. That way, it could give the world a false appearance of stability, guaranteeing multinational companies would stay inside China. And to the whole world, the CCP gave people the false impression that it could control the epidemic and the situation. That was to avoid all of its foreign investment from vanishing and all of its businesses going into upheaval. So in this situation, the CCP did not order international flights to close down. On top of that, on January 31st, we saw that the CCP was aggravated after Trump ordered a temporary ban on Chinese air travel. The Foreign Ministry issued criticism, so that goes to show that the CCP takes economic profit as more important than human life. That's not just saying it doesn't regard Chinese people's lives, but the CCP doesn't care about any lives in any country of the world.
As to whether they had other more sinister intentions, such as spreading the virus to the entire world, we don't really know for sure. But what we are sure about is that the CCP knew in early January that there would be worldwide competition on the horizon for one specific product. The Associated Press obtained a 4-page Department of Homeland Security intelligence report dated May 1st. According to the report, Chinese leaders intentionally concealed the severity of the pandemic from the world in early January. While doing so, they increased the imports and decreased the exports of medical supplies. It attempted to cover this up by denying there were export restrictions and delaying provision of its trade data. High-ranking officials in Taiwan support this. Chen Qimai, Vice Premier of the Republic of China, spoke about medical supplies in a recent interview with the Formosa TV network. Mr. Chen revealed that while looking to place orders on face masks, he made a phone call to one of Taiwan's local medical supply manufacturers on January 27th.
I made a phone call to Huang Qingshan, the CEO of Nanliu Enterprise, which is the manufacturer of non-woven cloth, and I was told that China had purchased a huge amount of non-woven cloth from India 1 month ago. So the masks are out of stock all around the world.
On May 14, 2020, the FBI issued a statement on a new investigation. China-affiliated cyber actors have been both targeting and compromising U.S. organizations conducting COVID-19 related research. These attacks aim to steal research results related to vaccines, treatments, and testing. According to the Wall Street Journal, U.S. officials stated that China and Iran started such attacks as early as January 3rd.
When I saw this news, what shocked me wasn't that they were stealing intellectual property, since the CCP is always doing that anyway. What got my attention was that they started stealing vaccinations on January 3rd. They gathered related research results. This confirms that the CCP knew at a very early time how dangerous this disease was.
If the CCP was just trying to hide the identity of the virus and the scale of the outbreak, we'd expect them to relent on the cover-up after the rest of the world figured it out. However, the CCP continues to rigidly maintain the cover-up, just like in the earliest days. Why is that? What else could they be hiding? Is that we know this could have been prevented. A study by the University of Southampton indicated that if China had taken measures to address the virus earlier, they could have prevented about 95% of the infections throughout the world. Why has this persisted for so long? Maybe we should ask, what criminal would ever stop their crimes if they weren't held accountable?
Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer have to be accountable for their actions. No excuses for Congress not charging them with treason and harming the American people.